Welcome to the next episode of AIDIA Talk Show. Asian Institute of Diplomacy and International Affairs brings you this series of talk show. This time we are talking about Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan, officially the Republic of Azerbaijan, is a transcontinental country. Located at the boundary of Eastern Europe and West Asia, it is a part of the South Caucasus region and is bounded by the Caspian Sea to the east. Russia's Republic, Georgia, Armenia and Turkey and also Iran to the south. Baku is the capital and the largest city of Azerbaijan. By the late 19th century, the Azerbaijani national identity emerged when the Azerbaijan Democratic Republic proclaimed its independence from the Transcaucasian Democratic Federative Republic in 1981, a year after the Russian Empire collapsed, and became the first secular democratic Muslim majority state. In 1920, the country was conquered and incorporated into the Soviet Union as the Azerbaijan SSR. The modern Republic of Azerbaijan proclaimed its independence on 30th August 1991, shortly before the dissolution of the Soviet Union in the same year. Nepal and the Republic of Azerbaijan established diplomatic relations on 20th February 1995. The relations between the two countries are based on mutual trust, friendship and goodwill, and have remained cordial and friendly since then. Nepali ambassador to Russian Federation in Moscow is concurrently accredited to Azerbaijan. Likewise, ambassador of Azerbaijan to India in New Delhi is concurrently accredited to Nepal. Nepal and Azerbaijan are working closely at bilateral, regional and multilateral levels towards further strengthening the friendly relations for the mutual benefits of the two countries and its people. Azerbaijan had sent humanitarian aid in the aftermath of the earthquakes in 2015. It also provides some scholarships to Nepali students. The non-resident ambassador of Azerbaijan to Nepal, Elchin Huseynli, has submitted his credential to the president recently. So we are talking with him about the bilateral relations between our two countries and the shared future. Good morning. We are here with the non-resident ambassador of Azerbaijan to Nepal, Elchin Huseynli. His Excellency Elchin Huseynli has just arrived to Kathmandu to report his ambassadorship, and he met yesterday with the president and he submitted his credentials. Now we are talking about the last 3 decades of Nepal-Azerbaijan relations and some private sector investment in Nepal's perspective. Welcome, Ambassador.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chalise. Thank you for having me.
Nepal and Azerbaijan has bilateral diplomatic relations since 1995. So in last 3 decades, how do you think that the two countries are going together?
You're right. Next year we will celebrate the 30th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Azerbaijan and Nepal. For the last 3 decades, the bilateral relations have been going quite well with ascending trajectory, but I think both sides haven't used the full potential that they may propose to each other. I think the task that we're having right now in this direction. The first initial years we had established very good cordial relations and within international organizations, UN, etc. Our relations got closer when Azerbaijan became the member of non-aligned movement in 2001, and in 2019 my country assumed the chairmanship of this important global organization, which is the second one after the United Nations, as you know. And Azerbaijan and Nepal, both being peaceful countries, both being non-aligned countries, they first of all shared common values, and secondly they supported each other's causes within this organization, as well as they provided support to each other within the United Nations, especially on elections to important UN bodies. For the last 10 years, bilateral relations, we have seen some improvement. In certain areas there have been initial contacts, talks, but what we have to do is to intensify those contacts across all areas, both political, economic, go to the realms of agriculture, education, tourism, and so on and so forth.
Like you earlier said, both the countries have not been able to exploit to its full potential. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yes, first of all, we, apart from the fact that we share same values globally, we're both also in our respective regions, we're landlocked countries. Tourism-wise, Azerbaijan, and we see some tourism movement to Nepal, and also we have Nepali citizens traveling to Azerbaijan. I haven't seen, and I wish we will improve that, I haven't seen much contacts between our tourism companies, let's say. Also, we need to establish strong legal framework of our relations, which we miss. I think we have to work towards on that.
That means we can work in joint collaboration to attract more tourists through Azerbaijan to Nepal and make a package, some kind of packages. Yes. We can sell that.
Yes. Look, agriculture industry-wise, I think Nepal and Azerbaijan have the things to offer to each other. At the same time, people-to-people diplomacy, contacts, it plays also a very important role. We can have exchanges in culture, apart from tourism. When people see each other quite often, when they talk, also they engage in cultural exchange.
Yes.
And I think that's what we need right now. I have to say that Azerbaijan, within non-aligned movement, every year we allocate scholarship to the member states of the non-aligned movement, and Nepali citizens have been using that opportunity quite often. Also, academic-wise, we have very good contacts in the sphere of education, and we have very good contacts between think tanks. We participate and support each other's events, important events that we have. But at the same time, I think that we have to transit to more practical areas.
You mean to say we have to build more contact with private sectors?
Exactly.
What about private sectors?
Private, in my understanding, unfortunately, it has been transactional and occasional. It has to be more stable. It has to be continuous. There should, first of all, people from both businesses should meet oftenly in order to generate common interest, because business relations are based on common interest, to get profit. Let's be blunt on that.
Yeah.
But in order to generate that common interest, the businesses should meet, should talk. That's my understanding. At the same time, as two governments, we have to create a legal framework for them. We have to start talking about concluding certain agreements that can help ease these business relations between our countries. We can establish government to government and government to business and business to business relations. There are several layers of that. So I think we have a lot of things ahead of us.
You are talking about G2Z, government to government, and G2B, business, and B2B, business to business also. But more often nowadays, internationally, we talk about B2B as it is more easier and efficient, working and getting, like you said, profit, and making it more social also, social business we say, to give back to the society also. So in that case, is there any plan that you are planning to bring some private sector representatives to Nepal, or planning private sector representatives from Nepal to take to Azerbaijan, or is there any meetings in pipeline?
Look, this kind of goal is always there, because as diplomats, it's one of the things that we have to do. At the same time, everything depends on the situation, on time, so it's circumstantial. So we always talk about it, but we don't have right now concrete plans in the pipeline. There are certain talks between, not many, but a couple of private companies on business transactions with Azerbaijan. As embassy and non-resident ambassador, before even being officially appointed, our embassy, we facilitated the visit of certain businesses to Azerbaijan, where they talk concrete business projects. Also, there is desire of the certain large business companies here in Nepal to engage Azerbaijani companies to the projects that are implemented here in Nepal, like hydropower plants, etc. I think this is all very good. Important is that, in business, trust is important. When there is trust between countries, it automatically transcends to businesses. And when businesses trust each other, the relations are cordial. The rest is just a matter of...
It's much more beneficial than G2G relation.
Exactly.
G2B relation
I think
is
they're mutually complementary, in my understanding. But there is no obstacle for businesses to talk and meet.
So you mentioned about the hydropower, interest in hydropower investment in Nepal. So is there any concrete plan, or is there any names that coming to Nepal, any business houses coming to Nepal and investing in Nepali hydropower?
Everything right now is at the initial stage of talks. The proposal came from the side of Nepal companies. So our companies have received that proposal. They had initial talks. Now they're kind of weighing in their options, their capabilities. Of course, we thank the Nepali business for this interest. At the same time, again, when it comes to business, there should be certain capabilities in place, and I think that this interest will transform into something concrete. That's my hope.
Okay, let's talk about COP finance. That's going to happen in November in Baku. The affected countries like Azerbaijan and Nepal, which are very much hopeful about the outcome of this Baku conference, COP29 or COP finance, whatever they say. But the host country, Azerbaijan has some plans. So can you explain about a little bit how it's going to happen and what are the preparations?
Yes, thank you very much. As you know, last year in November, decision was taken that Azerbaijan will host conference, 29th session of the Conference of the Parties to the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. We assumed this function responsibly. First of all, Azerbaijan has very good experience in hosting this kind of large-scale events. Let's not forget that we were at the helm of the non-aligned movement for 4 years. That was we were the new member. As a new member, we were entrusted that position, and we proved that, our capability. And we led non-aligned movements through difficult times of pandemic. We initially authored a number of initiatives. My president and our leadership of the country, they took the NAM countries through difficult times. First of all, we did not use, we used NAM to advocate for the problems and threats challenges faced by certain category of countries, like least developed countries, small island developing states, landlocked countries. So their problems and challenges have always been at the forefront, and all our national, let's say, initiatives that we put forward and implemented within non-aligned movement were all directed towards that goal. So the experience and knowledge that we accumulated during now we're putting in use as the COP29 hosts. And again, recently, so a couple of months ago, as COP presidency, my country announced its own action plan. So our main motto will be to enhance ambition, enable action, which means that we call international community, all parties and constituencies and all stakeholders of COP process to enhance their ambition, to pledge larger support to countries that are most affected, whose footprint in all climate change is not that large. We're very meager, very small, but they bear the main brunt of it. So that's our approach. At the same time, we want concrete actions to be taken by the parties as a result of COP. So as COP presidency, we aim to keep the full ownership of the entire process, to contribute, to be productive, to have fruitful decisions, that will help, first of all, the countries that are most affected by climate change. When it comes to concrete initiatives, there is a concrete action agenda by my country, where we have 14 initiatives. I can name a few. One is COP truce. There is one practice during the Olympic Games which is called Olympic truce.
Yeah.
And in our action agenda, we announced that we will call on all states to observe COP truce during the months of November.
Okay.
That's a very important initiative because there is clear nexus between climate change and conflicts in both ways. Whereas the conflicts are conducive, one of the conducive elements of conflicts between countries, at the same time conflicts also have negative effect on climate.
Yes.
Because of greenhouse gas emissions, etc. So we want to give this contribution to the mankind, at least for 1 month, to call all parties to all conflicts to halt hostilities, to observe cultures. Another, we spoke about climate finance. As you rightly said, this year's main topic is climate finance. And apart from the overall consensus-based decisions that we pursue right now, Azerbaijan came up with the initiative of establishing Climate Finance Action Fund. That will, with the aim of generating at least $1 billion. We invited all fossil fuel producing countries and companies to contribute to that fund, so that we can generate enough money and make them accessible to countries who are in need the most.
So I think this climate 1 billion climate fund might be very much helpful to countries like Nepal and Azerbaijan, which are very much affected by the climate change. Last but not the least, since USSR's separation into 25 countries, Azerbaijan is maybe among top 3 countries which has excelled in development, economic development, so what to say. So how has it been possible?
I think several factors contributed to that. Well, first of all, when we restored our independence in 1991, we faced with security and existential challenges, like foreign military aggression, political instability, etc. Because the Soviet Union was one unit, and when it's comprised of several units, and when it collapsed, the economy was in shatters, instability was there were several fractions who vied for power, etc. But everything changed when in 1993 the national leader of Azerbaijan, Heydar Aliyev, he assumed the leadership. Let's say the people asked for his return to power, and with this return, I think the development of Azerbaijan started. There are several factors, as I said, that my government, the leadership of Azerbaijan, has always pursued. First, this is independent foreign and economic policy.
Okay.
Independent. We don't look at matters through the prism of other capitals. It's always through the prism of Azerbaijan, Baku. Second, I think unity of people and government. Whatever government does, at the center of it should be a citizen. Third, friendly neighborhood policy, peace in our region, because we as countries, we don't exist in a vacuum. We interact, we're interconnected. And instability, there's a concept of indivisibility of security. So we have always believed in peace and the security of our country, closely related to those of other countries. So we have always pursued that peaceful agenda in international relations. Plus, we, as you're well aware, Azerbaijan is rich in natural resources. We put in good use the revenues generated from our oil and gas industry for the benefit of our people and our economy. We invested a lot in infrastructure, in transportation routes, in education, and so on and so forth.
I hope that experience of Azerbaijan, that the investment in education, roads, infrastructure, that will be very much helpful to Nepal also. And I hope in your tenure as an ambassador, Nepal will have more business to business and government to business, more relationships, more partnership coming real into their life. With this, I thank you, Your Excellency Elchin Huseynli, for talking to us, the non-resident ambassador to Nepal from Azerbaijan. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let me say final words. I'm very privileged and honored to represent my country, even in the capacity as non-resident ambassador. It's a great honor entrusted to me by the leadership of my country. And please rest assured that during my tenure as an ambassador, I will do my best to leave, let's say, in several years, our relations is much better place that we have right now, and to leave very good legacy to next generations of ambassadors and business people. There is nothing impossible between our countries. There are a lot of opportunities, potential is there. Let's use it. Let's talk. Let's
Thank you.
meet.
Thank you very much.
much.
Thank you.